All right, welcome to this week's edition of the People Progressing podcast. I am so excited to have Aaron Koehler on with us today, who's another graduate of Thunder Ridge High School, played football for us, wrestled for us. Um, it's just he has a unbelievable story to tell and an inspiring story to tell for you and for all people to listen to and learning how to get over the hump. And this is going to be a great show. So, Aaron, thanks for coming on and just tell us a little bit about where you grew up, what you've done as a kid, where you went to high school, and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be awesome.
So yeah, I grew up in Highland Ranch, Colorado. Kind of, had a very average, very normal childhood. Never really ever needed for anything. Never really wanted for anything that I wasn't able to get. Um, but our parents from very early on did teach us that anything that's worth having, you do have to work for. Which I think is kind of something that's really been important in my life. So growing up in about third grade, I was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, and never really thought anything of it other than I would be taken out of classes to go to my special reading class, and up until about fifth or sixth grade is when I kind of started seeing, no one directly told me that I would, I was always the last one to finish any kind of test or exam. Was never first person to be done with anything, and I'd still come up short. I was never a person who would get an A on any of my exams or tests, and I just kind of thought that that's just how it was going to be. That's who it was going to be, and never really bothered me. And so it kind of went through going through the special education classes all the way up through high school. Um, and when I was in middle school was probably the first time that I kind of started feeling, embarrassed by being in these classes. I had one of my special ed teachers would come into my English class and made sure that every time she walked into the room that the whole class knew that she was there for me, and definitely singled me out. That was the only time I've ever really been embarrassed by it. But then when I got to my freshman year at Thunder Ridge, the very first day of school, walked into one of the special ed classes rooms, and I had a teacher who told me that was no Michael Jordan. None of us were, and there was nothing. There's nothing any of us could do about it, and that we need to be prepared to have a mediocre life. And I never thought anything of it. I thought, okay, that's fine with me. Glad somebody said it. Now I know where the bar's set.
So
And little did I know that.
let me interrupt
Yeah.
you real quick. I'm sorry. I want to know what it felt like. If you even felt this, did you feel like you were labeled?
At that point, I feel like my label had already been put on in middle school. I feel like, whether I liked it or not, this was the path that God had chosen for me, and this is where I was going to be. This is unfortunately the life that I was going to have.
So do you think that it had an effect on you mentally in terms of confidence, um, where you wanted to go in life and so forth?
Absolutely. Yep. I've one thing that I didn't really realize until I was submitting my high school transcripts and stuff um, for college was that I have my brain's processing speed is about 75% of a normal person's. I never knew that, never really realized that. However, I did know that, if when it came to someone, picking on me or, we're going back and forth with somebody, always kind of took me a second, I kind of gave the opportunity for people to laugh. But I think that the way that I would kind of overcome that was just by being quick-witted. And I learned at a very early age that humor was the best way for me to relate to people and to overcome a lot of things. And so that's kind of how yeah, so that's kind of how I compensate for that lack of confidence, was by being able to make jokes about myself, and I guess move on that through that.
And I want to really dive into when that teacher told you, so you're no Michael Jordan and you're just going to have an average, mediocre life. I know you say that it didn't, you just kind of thought, well, that's the way it's going to be. But deep dive into it, what did it really feel like when somebody told you that? Like, did you feel like you had no chance? Like you were just, does that make sense what I'm asking there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, it actually kind of felt like the power had been taken away from me, that, basically my destiny had already been written, and that's what my life was going to be. However, I do find it very ironic that that's the sports character that he decided to choose, because um, Michael Jordan himself is in fact dyslexic.
So now let's dive into this. How did you overcome that? I mean, you
Yeah.
you you talk about graduating from high school and so forth. What was your thought process? You mentioned a little bit about college applications and stuff. What was the difference between what you had to do and how you thought you had to get into college and so forth?
Mhm. Yeah. So I didn't do very well on the ACT. And I don't know, I guess my whole life I was always kind of told that college isn't for everybody, and I'm just one of those people that college isn't for. And at the time, it didn't really upset me too much, because I was ready to move on. However, like I said, it did definitely take a toll on my confidence, especially knowing that it's one more thing that's being taken away from me. But like I said, really didn't affect me, because I really wanted to serve our country. And so I joined the military, went to the Navy. I served 5 years as a Navy hospital corpsman. And I think boot camp is probably the first time where I really realized that I really do have more control over my own life than what I've been led to believe. I kind of learned pretty early on that as long as you don't give up, and you're not the one that stops early or comes up short, there's nothing more they can do to you. And once I kind of had mindset set in place, I also kind of started to realize that it's up to me after graduation who I want to be. Um, it's no longer, all I have to do is get through these 8 weeks, and you know never have to worry about who I am or anything like that ever again. Um, and yeah, as one night I was just laying in my rack, and I kind of thought to myself that I could have a chance at a promotion, and really become a leader to my division. And this is my chance to kind of achieve anything I want to be. I'm going to be here for 8 weeks regardless, so I can either choose to get by or make the best of it and be the best I can be. And so I got one of the leadership positions. I graduated got to be in the front of our graduation, and that was really cool for my parents to see. Um, but yeah, I never got the promotion I was hoping for. But I think that just kind of is another part of my step in my journey, is that you're gonna come up short no matter what. There is no such thing as perfection, and but the only thing that is going to make the thing that separates people who are successful from those who are not, is those who are willing to keep going no matter what.
Now, this is where this story just gets better, 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 that I can't wait for people to listen to, but I wanna go back again.
Yeah.
How many times did that little voice in your head say, "You're just not good enough?" Even going back into high school in classes, um, getting into the Navy, and when you first got to the Navy, what was it like, on that flight to boot camp and getting on the bus after you get off there and going to the first day of boot camp? It had to be some anxiety, some stress, but a lot of that anxiety and stress was really kind of created, wasn't it, because of the label that was put on you and how you were told you were just going to be average? Because that little voice in your head probably kept telling you that's all you're going to be.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So I guess to kind of better set the stage for that, I would like to go back to high school sports. I never was the biggest or the fastest or the strongest. Um,
But
I
you worked
wasn't
hard.
what's that?
You worked hard.
I appreciate that, Coach. I think you're the first person to really see that. And of course, Coach Paisley and Coach Paul in wrestling, they definitely saw that. But yeah, I just had the idea in my head that same thing with school. As long as I showed up and did what I was told, then that was putting in the effort. That was all that was required of me, which obviously was not the case. And something I really appreciate from you is that even during the varsity games, I'd show up hoping I wouldn't
Mhm.
get any play time, and be goofing off, and I'd hear Koehler, Coach White's looking for you. I'm like, oh, why is he gonna put me in?
Uh,
And I just yeah. So I think that's definitely goes back to the self confidence. I never thought I was that great at much of anything. But yeah, so going to boot camp though was a little bit different. When I showed up, I was terrified. I was scared. Anybody who says that they aren't is lying.
yeah.
And it actually became a great equalizer for me. I realized that we're all here. None of us have ever done this before. There is no someone who has a higher leg up than I do. I mean, of course, I never was in ROTC or anything like that, but I realized that there is no one that has a. For the first time in my life, I felt like we were all on the same level, and it was up to me if I wanted to be in the front of the pack or not. And so that's where I started to push myself. I realized that there's of course there's always someone bigger and stronger, but I realized that I could, by putting in that effort, I could I could do just as well as anybody else. Really
So
try
you
to
so
get
you
there.
outworked the self-doubt. Well,
Absolutely.
I,
Yep.
I yeah, I tell people that all the time that people can tell you anything they want. So people have told you up to this point that you're going to be average, you're going to be mediocre, you have ADHD, you have dyslexia, you're just going to be an average person the rest of your life, and going to be last finishing your tests, and all this other stuff. And those are those voices that are starting to take over your head. What I want you to tell people, so people to get out of this, is that those little voices and those little thought processes that really other people put into your head and then took over your thought process, you have the choice to overcome that. You have the choice to make that says, I am the one in charge of my life, no one else. Tell me a little bit about the revelation that you had in making that choice, because that's what I want people to get from you. Not just that, but there's so much to get from your story. But there's so many people out there, Aaron, who are in the same position, in the exact same position. Tell them how to make that choice.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
So awesome.
Um, appreciate it. Yeah. I think that the choice really came when I realized that anything that I wanted it out of life, especially after boot camp, was kind of where when I was at my first corpsman school after that, I was like a basic EMT and nursing type school. Um, I was voluntold to become a pharmacy technician, which is not the route that I wanted to go down, especially being dyslexic.
Yeah.
Especially, I knew that this would be a time where I because of my past, I thought I was going to be unsuccessful. And I kind of knew that, oh yeah, we're told from the beginning of every military school that if you do fail, you'll become the needs of the Navy, which nobody wants to be in that position. And the only way to get through is to pass the course and get through that.
So let me
Actually,
stop you there real quick. So when they told you that if you don't pass, you're going to be the needs of the Navy, did your mind go back to you're just mediocre? You're just
yeah,
average. You have ADHD, you have dyslexia. Did your mind go back to that? Did you all of a sudden you're back in that battle again in your mind of how do I overcome this?
yep, yeah. The first thing I thought as soon as that happened was nothing in my life has ever been my choice, really. I mean, other than joining the military. But yeah, I felt that wasn't going to be my path. When they talk about these people, that I was a person that they were going to be talking about.
But you overcame.
I overcame. Yeah.
So
So
awesome.
I think I had that kind of revelation one day when I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time, and we were talking about how I was frustrated. It was my first week of the pharmacy tech school. It was very, very difficult. And she's kind of got frustrated with me and said, I don't know what to tell you. Either you do it or you don't. Um, there's nothing more you can do about it. And I kind of got upset and kind of realized that she was right. And that's when I kind of had that internal conversation with myself and realized that I can make the best out of this opportunity. No one has set this path before me. No one has predetermined what I'm going to be doing. And I could either get through this class, just get through it, or I can learn and really try to be the best at this class. And get out and be the best I can be as a pharmacy technician, if that's what my life's course is going to be. And I also was given the opportunity to, that's how our graduating order is how we choose our orders afterwards. And I really wanted to be with Marines, and we did not have very many billets for corpsmen to be with Marines, especially as pharmacy technicians. And worked hard and made it through that class. And I got I selected one of the 2 Marine Corps billets out of that school.
Now, would you say that any time during that time you got to a point you were like, I'm just going to prove everyone wrong. I'm going to have a chip on my shoulder and I'm going to take charge of this, and here I go.
Yeah. I had this kind of got to this point where I've never been that busy before in my life, and that kind of stress began to become very overwhelming, and no longer had me time to unwind and do what I really wanted to do. That's when I found my friends and I would go to the gym every night as our chance to unwind. And the competition that we kind of had between amongst ourselves that eventually leaked into the rest of how that school went. I started pushing forward in morning PT when we wake up super early. I wanted to be the best. I didn't want to just get by anymore. I was tired of always being the back of the pack for what I've been my whole life. I was tired of being the exhausted one bent over in the back. And once I started achieving those successes, it kind of spills over into the rest of my life. Then I started doing really well in school. I realized that, it does take me a lot longer to study, to take tests. And unfortunately, I've been very fortunate my entire life. Everyone's really been very understanding about how long it takes me to take tests because they see my results.
Yeah.
So when I say that, when I go back to the working out at night and saying that's all I had time for, it's because, from 5 to 7 when I get to go eat and work out, from 7 to midnight really would be my time to study, and that's all I did was study. And none of my friends had to do that. Everyone else got to go to sleep early, and because we had to get up early. And I realized that as long as I was given the chance, I could do whatever I want. So
Made that decision again.
absolutely.
And what you did was you outworked your doubt. You outworked those people telling you you're going to be average. You outworked people telling you you're going to just be mediocre because you have ADHD and dyslexia and you're never going to be any just average. You outworked it. You said, here you go. I'm going to have all these voices in my head that keep telling me I'm average and all that stuff. And you just outworked it. And that gave you the confidence, and that confidence kept building and building and building and just beat the living tar out of that self-doubt that's always in your
Absolutely.
mind.
Yep. And it
Oh,
gave
I
a
just love
source
the
of
story.
motivation.
Yeah, I just love the story. And that confidence that you built by that hard work, staying up later than everyone else because you had to study harder, going and doing the workouts, lifting, the physical work that you did gave you confidence in yourself as well. And that's what I want people to get, that you don't have to stay where people think you should be, that you have that choice to outwork it and get to where you want to be, where you think you
Mhm.
can be. And that's exactly what you did. So you graduated from that school. Take us to the next step now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I get more excited the more I talk about this, man. It's awesome. This is called the People Progressing Podcast for a reason. And this is
yeah.
a perfect example of someone progressing. This is so cool.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
No, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
So from there, I was very excited. I thought I was going to be working with Marines. So I got to go to my next school, Field Med, which where it's where they teach us to really become experts in field medicine to be able to go into combat with Marines. Um, and that kind of there's a lot of pride there. Corpsmen have the widest scope when it comes to what we're allowed to do as far as medicine in the battlefield. I learned how to do a lot of things that most Army medics aren't allowed to do. I learned how to do emergency crikes. I could start my own IVs, gave immunizations. I did all kinds of awesome, really fun stuff.
Yeah.
And that really lit a fire under me. Once I learned that not only is this something that I thought was really important to me, I think growing up, my dad's been a firefighter at West Metro in Denver for the past 25 years. And seeing the passion he has for helping others, it's something that's kind of always been important in my life. And so learning these skills to be there for somebody on their worst day, man, that's something powerful for me. So I learned that not only is it something that interests me, it's something that I'm really good at. And like we talked about, I'm not naturally gifted at anything. Wasn't good at emergency medicine because I found my calling. It's because I found what I was interested in and I worked my butt off for it.
Okay, and I'm going to stop you there because you are gifted in something. You're gifted in a lot, but one of the thing that you're gifted in the most, the thing that probably fueled you more than anything else through this whole process, is the gift of serving others. That's a gift, and that gift has fueled you to where you are today. And that's one of the underlying things that I tell people all the time. When you're down and out, you're not feeling good, and things are not going well, and you're self-doubt and all this stuff, serve someone else, serve others. And your gift is the heart of serving others. And that's where you have found, again, my book is called The Three Ps: Finding Your Purpose, Perspective, and Passion. And finding your purpose is serving others. And you just said it. When you said, I love serving others, your dad did it, and now you're doing it. You should have seen the smile on your face. Okay, you just lit up when you said that because that's your passion, that's your purpose. And I just love when you say that because it fuels you and it keeps fueling you, and it's fueling you even more today than it did then. And you probably didn't even realize it back in high school and all that stuff and when you got into the Navy and so forth. But when you got into the Navy, what's being in the Navy? Being in the Navy is serving our country, right? It served me because you're in the Navy serving our country, and I live in our country. So you're serving me, you're serving everyone, you're serving our country. And what fueled you to be the best in the Navy? Your service,
Nice. Yep.
right? So it's a great story, and it's an awesome story. Now I keep interrupting you because I get so excited about your story. So go ahead and keep going.
Oh, thank you. No, I really appreciate you pointing that out.
It's awesome.
um, yeah, so that school is really where I really felt like I, for the first time, was an expert in something. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously I wasn't quite yet, but I sure felt like I was.
Yeah.
I had finally found not only something that I really enjoyed, I excelled at, and I graduated that school the third top. I was in the top three of the course, just in everything, every aspect. So that course was the first time I'd actually been pushed physically in the military. Boot camp it's made for anybody to pass. And my other schools were basically self-paced. You try your hardest, and I got that competitive, the competitiveness was kind of what pushed me during my previous schools. For the first time, I actually had to perform, and we did these great exercises where we'd go on patrol all night, and then they have a fake IED go off, and oh, guess what? Now you have 15 minutes to transport this patient, 15 minutes to the LZ, and just so for the first time, that's where I was just kind of pushed on both scholastically and physically, and I loved every minute of it. And so from there was kind of where I got to my next biggest setback. I realized my orders weren't exactly what I thought they were. Instead of being detached to a actual Marine Corps unit, I was put into a naval health clinic at the Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, where we did serve Marines, but I was not amongst Marines. I was back in my navy, we call them the blueberries, the blue digital camo. And I was no longer where I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
And that also was a very, very draining job. It's kind of funny. I'll get to my first job out of the military after this, but we were very busy. We had eight or so windows open, and each person that was up on the front window would see about 100 patients each. And that's
Wow.
taking in prescriptions, filling prescriptions,
Yeah.
having the pharmacist check it, and very, very busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was monotonous, and I still was not passionate about pharmacy. I after going through the school, it just wasn't for me, and I think that's another important part of my journey, is that I went through a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily like, but I used those tools to as an opportunity to learn more about medicine. I know now that I know a lot more about medications than any of my counterparts and anything else I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
So
so from there,
yeah,
I was
keep
supposed
going because this gets better and better.
yeah, so Corman do sign a 5-year contract. It's 4 years with a 12-month extension. And I was supposed to finish my contract at the um, Navy hospital there in Cherry Point. And I was detached to a non-deployable search and rescue unit. And so I had absolutely no chance of deploying. And that's not what I wanted. That's not why I joined the military. And I didn't feel that I knew the patient care that I was doing was important, but I felt that my skills weren't being tested, and I wasn't doing really what motivated me. So I bugged my detailer for about 2 months. Every week I would call him, and it's kind of funny. He eventually left voicemails for my chain of command saying that I'm not supposed to have any direct contact with him. If I want to talk to him, I should go through my chain of command. I think he just got tired of me. And just by luck, one day I was on duty. It was a Saturday, and our clinics close on the weekends. So it was just me and two other people on duty. And I get a call on the radio that I have a phone call. And I just was really confused because I didn't hold any special positions in the clinic. I'm not sure why anybody would need to be calling me. And so I went down there, and it was my detailer saying that he needs a yes or no answer right now. He's got some orders for me to go to the USS Green Bay. And I told him, yeah, that's absolutely. Give me anything you got. And unfortunately, there's no Marine Corps units, but I'll take any kind of deployment I can get. So yeah, I met the ship in San Diego, where they were a part of the Third Fleet, I believe. And we were there for about 2 weeks before we transitioned to Japan, where we were shifted our home ports to Sasebo, Japan, and became a part of the Seventh Fleet. It was the Seventh Fleet is considered forward deployed Navy. We do a little bit of a different deployment schedule. It's a lot of work, a lot of time at sea and not much on land. We usually do about 3 months at sea, come back for after our first deployment, we were only home for about a weekend, and then went back out again for another 3 months. And kept doing that rotation. Come back for a week or two, go back out for a couple months, and it was draining. It was brutal, and that's where I kind of really learned that you have to find those people around you that are strong and who are motivating, that want you to succeed as much as you do is what you want for them.
So finding a good support system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people that have the same goals and drive and want to serve just as much as you do is important. I think that's important for people to understand too, is who you surround yourself can help you get through the humps and stuff too. You along your journey, you've had so many hurdles. I've said this probably in every podcast I've done, that life's not a marathon. People keep saying that life's a marathon. Life's not a marathon. It's like a steeplechase with hurdles all the time.
Mhm.
and you've overcome so many hurdles and so forth. And how have you? What's your mindset in that when you come up to something and you've just mentioned a couple of them? When that adversity hits you, what's your mindset to get through that adversity?
Mhm. Yeah, so I think a part of that confidence shift I had, becoming more confident, I realized that I can do anything I want, and if I'm not somewhere that I'm happy, that's not where I want to be. And so I guess what I'd say about that is that I you get to a point where your goals are always going to change, and there's always going to be different hurdles that you're going to have to overcome, and it's up to you to decide the outcome of those hurdles and how you're gonna if the only person that's gonna achieve those goals is the person who's willing to go into or to go into leave their comfort zone and
Hmm.
to really advocate for yourself, because nobody cares about you like you care about yourself. And you really have to, when you come to each hurdle you come to, you got to know that this could stop your journey, this could be it right here, or you can persevere and do whatever it takes, no matter how creative you got to be. People who are, I kind of realized that the people who, like my mentors in the military and stuff, who were very successful, got there through perseverance and never giving up. And no one's going to advocate for you like yourself. So perseverance has always been my way to get through these things.
And you've said it throughout this whole podcast about your choice. I want people to understand the power of choice, that every person listening to this or every person in the world has that choice to make, to
Yep.
which way you want to go. And you're in charge of your own choice. And I want people to understand how much power they have in their own choice. And I think that's awesome. So now, as we get through the Navy, now I want to go back to when you were told again in school that you were going to be average and mediocre and this is what you are and everything else. So let's go through your journey now after the Navy and getting into school.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what you've done with this part of your journey is again, it's remarkable. So I want people to understand where you were and where you are now, because the power of your brain and the power of the choices that you made.
Yeah. So while I was on the USS Green Bay, I had two really great mentors, Chief Duran and now Master Chief Hendrick. They believed in me. They knew that I was really excited about emergency medicine, and they both introduced me to the really. I mean, I'd worked with PAs in the past, but they were the first people who really told me that you should think about physician assistant school. And like I said, college was never really an option for me. I never
Yeah.
never even thought about going to college. Um, and they kind of explained the history behind the PA field, and how Duke's first school was completely compiled of Navy corpsmen coming back from Vietnam. And that was a kind of a history and heritage that I really wanted to be a part of. And so that's something, that's how I kind of shifted my mind to that, going down that path. Once I got out, I started attending ACC full time. And my thinking with going to community college first was that I could pay for that out of pocket. I could pay cash for my 2 first years of my undergrad, and then I could use the GI Bill to finish out my undergraduate degree, and then my 2 years or so for PA school. So yeah, started out that way, and since I was paying cash, I didn't want to have any debt, so I started working full time as a pharmacy technician. And my first job was at, I don't think I told you about this. My first job was at Walgreens, and I got hired on by the store manager. And the day before I started, they asked me to come in and speak with the head pharmacy tech, who told me that she had concerns that because I was in the military, she didn't think I would understood how to speak to elderly people, or how to be gentle with my words,
Oh, wow.
or yeah, wouldn't really understand how things work in the civilian world. And I told her, I've had the same national certification that everybody in this pharmacy has. I've served the patient population in Cherry Point. It was mostly retirees. And yeah, that was kind of my next realization, that no one understands what you do. No one,
Yeah.
no one, no one knows you until you show them who you are.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, so from there, I was doing that, and I don't care what anybody says, working full time and going to school full time is tough.
Yeah,
It
not
is
easy.
very tough. And this is not only my first time really. I did attend night school while I was in the military at Craven Community College in Havelock, and also in New Bern, North Carolina. So I had some experience with college, but man, I was getting overwhelmed, and my girlfriend, well, my fiance at the time, things ended up not working out between us. I think it's mostly just because of how difficult everything kind of was for me at the time, and that was a difficult breakup for me.
Yeah,
But
another adversity.
yeah, another adversity. But I, like with everything else, I meant this as a new challenge for me, and realized that I wasn't happy. This is not where I wanted to be, and so I decided to take this opportunity to attend or at least apply to attend to my dream school at the University of Wyoming. And I was accepted, and came up here to do my undergraduate for kinesiology.
And
And
what was your GPA?
yeah, so that was the first time I actually had a decent GPA. So I graduated last spring with bachelor's in kinesiology, and my GPA was a 3.3.
How
Um,
awesome is that?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, thank you.
that's not average.
No, no,
That's not mediocre. That's what you were told.
absolutely.
That was your mindset because people had told you that, right? And now
Right.
you're at a 3.3, and now it's even better, people. It gets even better. So tell us about your grad school now.
Yeah, so I had some great mentors in the kinesiology department. Dr. Emily Schmidt, she was teaching me how to work with the mice in the vivarium. I was going in at 5:30, 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. at night to put mice on a treadmill. Mm, That wasn't very fun, but
Yeah, again, but you're
I
out
was,
working it, right? You're out
yep,
working
yep,
it.
exactly. Yep. And the reason why I chose to do that was because I had class all day, um, and just like anybody else, nobody had time to put in the extra effort to work in a lab. So I knew how to do it outside of those time frames. I also took an exercise physiology course with Dr. Evan Johnson, who is our hydration physiology specialist. And I started working in his lab, doing a lot of really interesting work with some of the wildland firefighters. We started working with heat testing them, and um, yeah, I found some really great stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I committed about 120 hours to those two labs outside of school. Our department does require that we do some kind of internship and research stuff, and I had already completed all that. I shadowed PAs and I worked in other areas, but working with the mice and in the hydration physiology lab was all by choice. I did that because it's something that interested me, and I really enjoyed it. And so eventually I got offered the opportunity to attend the 2-year program where, the 2-year master's program.
Yeah, this is your grad program now,
Correct. Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of realized that I had this conversation with Dr. Johnson that traditional research just wasn't for me. I don't want to, I wanted to move on to PA school. I didn't want to be moving on in academia. I wanted to get back to patient care,
Right.
and I
Serving.
really want to do something that's going to make a direct impact on the community. And he and I attended a seminar where he learned about the opioid crisis in America and in Wyoming, and we learned about this program put on by the Wyoming Department of Health to allow access to Narcan for free to organizations who apply and meet the requirements. And so during my senior year, I Dr. Johnson and I had a conversation. I said I could do this for our department, and he said okay, and gave me full reins on it. So I worked with the Department of Health and made the kinesiology department the first department on campus to obtain Narcan and be able to have that in the event of opioid overdose.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Serving others. It's all based on serving others.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so then from there, I started applying for PA schools, and it's a 1 year waiting time for you when you apply to when you actually start school, doing the interview process, that type of thing. And I talked to Dr. Johnson about that, and we kind of thought of we saw that there's other areas on campus that were doing a 1 year is a 4 year plus one program where during my senior year, if I could take some of my graduate classes, I could graduate with my master's in just 1 year after
Yeah.
graduating from my bachelor's, which would be a great to fill that 1 year void that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I started. And well, I guess before that, we were going to present the idea to the department and see what they thought of it, and they canned the program a week before I was supposed to present.
Adversity again.
Yeah.
Another
Yep.
hurdle.
Yep. Another hurdle. And that was another big issue for me, because now what I'm going to do for the next year or so, who knows what's going to happen in the world. So I thought, okay, I'll apply to the regular grad program. And they had some funding that they thought they had available, and they'd be able to fund my 2 year grad school. And COVID hit, and those funds got canceled. It was either April or late April or early May, right before I graduated. And they said, "Sorry, we're not gonna be able to pay for your school." And I was
Another
like,
adversity, another hurdle.
Yep. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
So another big thing that you talk about on your podcast a lot is believing there's good in the world, and always. That's one thing that I've always somehow believed, that there's the good in every aspect of the world. You just got to go find it, and also put into the world what you want to receive. And so, I was very discouraged at the time, but very thankful for the opportunity of what I've been given so far. So I sent an email to those two professors and thanking them for all that they've done for me, and explained how I really wish I could have the opportunity to expand on my Narcan program, or not my program, but helping out
Right.
everybody. And once again, the last minute something came through for me. Dr.
Good.
Johnson emailed me back and said, "Congratulations, we decided that we are going to go through with the 1 year master's program," and I was going to be the guinea pig for it.
Oh man. All right. So now you're there.
Yep.
And that's what you're working on now. Is that right?
Yep,
And
that's correct.
I want you to tell everybody, you got to tell them what your GPA was first semester in this guinea pig program that you're the guinea pig at. What was your GPA?
Yeah, so through the summer, so I went through the summer semester and the last fall semester, and currently I have a 4.0.
Isn't that awesome? God, it's just awesome. So again, let's go back, going back to high school, going back to third grade, fifth grade, when you were just going to be, you thought this was your life and average, and people telling you, you really can't do much more than this, and so forth. And now you're in a master's program where they're asking you to be the first person through this program. So they believe in you that much, and you're getting straight A's, you're getting a 4.0. And it's an amazing journey. I've met a guy, his name is Adam Katowski. You can find him at Coach Adam 34, who talks a lot about what you've lived. And he has a book called Extraordinary Me, or the Extraordinary You, I should say. And you can get on his website at Coach Adam 34 and learn about this stuff. And he talks about some of the same things about having ADHD and having dyslexia, and how you're just as special as someone who doesn't have it. You have special powers that someone else who doesn't have ADHD or dyslexia have, and you've proven that. And you've proven that through your journey here. As we kind of wrap this up, Aaron, I've been just so excited to get you on after he sent me a 3-page email that I sat and read. And when I was reading this email, I was just in awe, and I had like goosebumps as I was reading this email because I love stories of people overcoming and getting in fighting through the battle. And I tell people this all the time: don't ever let someone else take your passion away, or don't let someone else take your confidence away, because there are people out there that will do that to you because they don't have it in themselves. So they're going to try to bring others down with them. I want you all to understand what Aaron's done here. He didn't allow that to happen to him because he made the choice. And the power of the choice that you have, no matter what you are dealing with, to overcome and outwork whatever is thrown in your way. And this is a true, true example of it. And he's going to be, your next journey is going to be, you have decided that you want to be a fireman,
Yep.
right? That's your next journey. So tell us a little bit about that and then we'll wrap this up.
All right. Yeah. I'll get in that real quick. So part of my my master's program, I have the opportunity to do an ex, I really struggle saying this word, exploratory
Yeah.
experience.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm not even sure if that's the right word, but anyways, I was able to work with somewhere in the same field as my project. So for my thesis project, I'm working with the Department of Health to expand on this Narcan program to um, get Narcan in the hands of organizations around Laramie. Um, and so to kind of supplement that, I decided to start volunteering with the fire department, and I was selected and went through their academy. And man, I love it so much that it reminds me of my time in the military of what I guess I should say what I wanted out of the military. I really enjoy being a first responder, being there for people in the worst days of their lives, and being a sense of hope, and being able to maintain a level head, and be able to be there for those people. And
Serving.
so I've decided that PA school is no longer my end goal, which I ended up not getting accepted into PA school after I made this decision, which I thought was going to affect me a lot more, and then it really did. But I found something else that lights my fire even more, makes me even more excited to get up every day and say that this is what I get to do. So yeah, now I'm on the look for try to get on with a professional department either in here in Wyoming or in Colorado. I'd love to return home.
Yeah, I would love for you to come home too,
Yeah,
just because
yeah.
we
So I
need
guess
people like you in our community. But
appreciate it,
we
Coach.
need people like you in the United States who are just wanting to serve and don't let other things get in the way. Who wouldn't hire you? So anybody listening to this, here's a guy that you better get in line, and you better be in the front of the line to hire an Aaron here.
I
What's your
appreciate it, Coach. And I guess since we're wrapping this up, one thing I would like to say is that, um, especially part of writing your own journey and making your own decisions, taking life by your own means. I think that people need to understand what success means to them. If it does really mean a high-paying job that you do well, then that's it. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
And that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. For me, I found that success means waking up for a job that doesn't feel like work, something that I get to say that I feel lucky for this opportunity. I might only be a volunteer firefighter right now, but I feel like I'm the luckiest guy around. I get to do what I love, and yeah, no one can tell me that there's something else better out there for me. I've learned it. I have the experience to show that I've worked in just about every aspect of the medical field and or shadowed those who are providers, and I realized this is it. This is what I want to do, and
and
that's
so
okay.
yeah, I say the same thing. I went to my passion for 30 years as a teacher and
Mhm.
coach. I didn't go to work. I never did. I never felt like I did. And there was days that was hard. There was days that were had more struggles than others, but I never
Mhm.
felt like I was going to work. And that's what you're setting yourself up for, is a life of going to your passion.
Yeah.
What's your purpose in life? You kind of already
Yeah.
mentioned it. I mean, that's kind of easy for you to answer, but
Well, and but honestly, I think that's something very important. Something that people, I think a lot of people go through their lives not addressing that question. I really, I sadly, I see it. So yeah, I think it's a great question. I believe my purpose in life, I think I was put on this earth to help others.
Yeah, and that's your gift.
Yeah.
And you're gonna use your gift as your livelihood. How
Yep.
cool is that? Next question, my book again, what finding your purpose, perspective, and passion. What's your perspective on life?
My perspective on life is, you know, I think defined by my journey. I think that I can do it. My perspective is life is exactly what you want it to be. And you can either choose to let it pass you by, let others tell you what your life is going to be, or you can take it in your own hands and make it exactly what you want it to be.
So awesome. And then passion. What's your passion in life? It doesn't have to be with your job or anything like that. I mean, it could be, I love to go hunting or whatever it might be, but what's your passion?
Yeah. Well, I think um, I do love the outdoors, but I would say that I think my purpose and passion align very well. I'm very passionate about not only helping others, but being the best medical provider I can be. I want to. That's what really motivates me in life is to I never want to be in a position where I could have helped. I could have done something, or if I would have known what I was doing, I could have helped better.
Mhm.
Real quickly, kind of a little off topic. I keep a medical first aid kit in my vehicle of all the stuff that I know how to use, and there's a lot of stuff in there that aren't in a typical first aid kit that I keep in there because my biggest worry is that I could be driving by a car accident and there's something I could have done to help somebody, but I just didn't have the tools, and that's a problem. That's something something I would just never want to be in that situation.
Well,
So
Aaron, I want to thank you for coming on. This is special, and I believe that this is going to help tons of people. I don't know how many people, but tons of people.
awesome,
And your story is inspirational to a lot of people who have been told that they're average, who have been told you can't be anywhere because you have ADHD, or have been told or labeled you're not like everyone else because you have ADHD, or labeled you're not like everyone else because you have dyslexia.
mhm.
Your story is going to break some barriers down, and we're going to get it out there. If I have to, I don't know how I'm going to get it out there even more than I can. You tell everybody, I'll tell everybody, I'll put it on
Yeah,
Facebook and everything else so people can hear it and spread it and get this message out there, because there's a lot of people out there that are labeled and don't need to be labeled and shouldn't be labeled. And yet you can overcome, and you are special in your own way, whatever that way is. And you outworked the stigma of the label. And I just love your story. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to see you. Give you a big
yeah,
old hug. I'm so, so, so proud of you. This is what I love about teaching and coaching, is seeing where kids that I had just a small piece of helping, hopefully somewhere down the road, seeing where they become and what they've done and how they overcome adversity and so forth. And it's just so gratifying for me to see where you're at. So thank you so, so much for coming on. And best of luck with this semester as you finish. This is it for you, right? You'll finish
this
this
is
up.
it. Yep. And we just announced that we'll be having an in-person graduation. So I
There you
didn't get
go.
to have I got my first graduation taken away from me because of COVID, but looks like I'll get this one.
Well, I need pictures.
Absolutely.
And, I know your mom and dad are proud as heck of you. And I know all your buddies are proud of you. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you. And all the coaches and stuff, when they hear this, are going to be just off the wall with this stuff. So
Thanks,
thank you
coach.
so much for coming on, and all the best in the coming days. And I know a lot of people in the firefighting profession, so I'm here to help
Awesome.
you with that and give you
I
some
appreciate it.
networking connections and so forth. So just let me
Yeah.
know when you're ready. So we'll get
Awesome.
that going. So
That'd be great.
thanks, Aaron. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming on, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you so much, coach.
All right, buddy. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the People Progressing podcast. I'm Joe White. You can get on my website at coachjoewhiteconsulting.com, order my book, um, get a hold of me for speaking engagements or working with your team, your businesses with culture building, team building. whatever it might be that you need help with. I'm here to help, and I'm here to be there for you and your team and your organization. So please get on my website, Coach Joe White 90, CoachJoeWhiteConsulting.com, and you can reach me at CoachJoeWhite97 at gmail.com. Thank you for listening and have a great day.